So hello there, welcome to community call number 55, first one in, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And we stopped them and now we thought we'd repurpose them, and I'll just give a little bit of reason why. So Daniel, Mo, and I, we spent a lot of time with the foundation, and it turns out that actually the foundation is fairly straightforward. Like we try to fundraise, bring in these donations and then support designers with them. But there's actually a lot of activity that there's a lot of stuff that we talked about that overlaps with community things because of this, like the foundation funds things that the community does. So we realized that ended up talking about a lot of things that are really community things, and then we realized, well, we need to split this up. So we thought, let's pick up the community calls again, and I'll just mention some of those topics that we talked about. Hey, Joaquin.
Hello.
So I just talked about, gave a quick intro here, and I was going to mention some of the things that we could talk about in a community call. And prior community calls were more about reading through the newsletter and discussing stuff that was going on, which is kind of looking backward, right? But the idea is that this one becomes a little bit more organizational planning, which may or not be fun for different people. So, for example, some ideas for this year was we want to create a second designathon. Could be in spring, could be in fall. We can all discuss together if that's something we want to do and what that could look like and who wants to help out. And we could give updates on these calls. We were talking about creating community and foundation swag that we can wear at conferences or people can just buy if they want to. We started designing a little bit in the design huddle last week. Also something we can all do together. We discussed organizing a retreat where whoever wants to in the design community just gets together for a week or so, and we just kind of collaborate on things, do design stuff. Could be tie in with the conference, maybe not, just an idea. We could organize meetups at conferences that some people that we intentionally all plan to go together, or we just happen to be there because we're individually, our paths take us there. We could organize like a breakfast or dinner or so. May 16 is Global Accessibility Awareness Day. We could kick off something organizational for that. Advancing Bitcoin's coming up. Daniel and I will be attending and also helping with an LDK hackathon there as mentors and some stuff. BTC Prague last year, we had a huge effort around getting a booth there and planning that, organizing it. We had the whole hack day that we organized, and really big effort there. Huge thanks to Michael and Mo for helping a ton with that. And we also, from the foundation side, we talked about representing the community on podcasts to get a bit of visibility there. And then also mentoring in Summer of Bitcoin 2024, which I think that's coming up very soon again, where we could come up with projects that that would like to have students help out and some people. So that's all stuff that we kind of came up during our foundation discussions. But they're really better discussed in an open forum. And here we are. And now I'll be quiet. What do you think? We can talk about anything else too. We can talk about how to achieve world peace if you'd like.
Christoph, how did you so we had our foundation calls, and how did you save all of these topics? You make notes and then you're like, no, this community, oh, that community. Like, how is this all saved? How?
Yeah, it's very impressive.
That's what I want to understand how this was put together.
Mostly before Christmas and first year of January, I sat down and I also keep tons of notes on an ongoing basis every day, every week. And then I have separate notes where for Bitcoin design, I have one note where I have each project or thing that I'm involved in with the primary subpoints and ideas. And then I just pulled them out of stuff and put them in there. That's it. But most of it was from other conversations I've had with all of you and other people. It's just lots of scribbles and notes.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question. I'm sorry, this is where are you taking these notes? Where are they just in a Google Doc?
It's the application called Notes.
As in just the Apple application, just
The
on
Apple
your-
app Notes, because it's the simplest way to jot down stuff that syncs automatically, and it doesn't
Yeah.
distract with wacky UIs and tags and
Absolutely.
stuff. It's just
Okay.
simple.
All right.
I
Now
have
we can-
many notes.
I tried a lot of note-taking apps, and I also kept coming back to to the default one.
Yeah, I also tried a bunch of note-taking apps, and then in the end, I realized that the problem is me, and so I'm like not sure how to fix it anymore.
Very wise.
Oh,
Well,
go ahead.
I'm certainly interested in the design-a-thon discussion. If we need to pick out a few of these topics to actually dive into, maybe we can pick one or two more.
Yeah, I'm with Daniel on the design-a-thon one as well. Also on the accessibility one. So accessibility, also interested in Global Accessibility Day and organizing something there.
Yeah, I'm interested in like one of the conference things, like if all of you are like going to a certain conference, that one, and like the retreat one, it can be like something super shadowy, super secret, that we don't tell anyone about, that will be fun.
Okay, awesome. I put one more in here, which is adding a Zapbot to Discord. Hey, Johns. But we can put that last, maybe. Just curious to get feedback on that one. Cool. Any other of these topics that you'd like to talk about? Johns, we just kind of kicked off and figured out what we want to talk about.
Hey everybody!
Hello.
Long time I haven't hopped on one of these. Nice to see these faces again.
So I'm glad you joined. Mo, you mentioned Design-a-thon, right? Yeah.
And so did Daniel as well.
Yeah,
Daniel?
that's
Okay.
interesting. That's interesting to me.
Okay. Awesome, because that is like last year, 2 years ago, this was co-organized with Legends of Lightning Volume 1 in a way that that event was it 1 month or 2 months? But we basically did the design-a-thon at the very beginning. So projects could say, well, I'm going to start with the design-a-thon and we're just going to design, concept, whatever, explore like our product. We're not like there was no code. Like people could code if they want to, right? But it's not that important. And then they could continue after they've kind of had this planning, thinking, designing part done out of the design-a-thon into Legends of Lightning. But people didn't have to. Like if someone just wanted to go through Legends of Lightning, they could also do that. But it was really great to bundle, to synergize there, if you will. So we could do that again.
I'm all for design-a-thons. For context of like why it's important for like the other stuff that we're doing with Bolt Fund, it's first off, there's a big need for better design in Bitcoin. That's why the Bitcoin design community exists in the first place. But also at our tournaments and hackathons and stuff, the teams are sometimes kind of like rehashing some, some basic ideas, and mostly it's to do with like how those ideas are presented and how those ideas are communicated, if they could be wrapped up in a nicer way, if they have like a different perspective of like, don't just focus this on creating something for another developer or like somebody who's like super technical. It could be actually something like, better, like, it could be like something better produced. But they're really struggling with that process and end up wasting a lot of time. So I really like the idea of like what we did a couple years ago, where design, as Christoph said, is a planning tool. It was great that a bunch of projects from the Designathon and people who participated in that, they actually, if they wanted to, it wasn't mandatory. If they wanted to, they could just like take that project and continue working on it and find developers and whatnot. So one of the winners in that 2022 event, Agreement, they won some prizes. They actually came from the Designathon as well. And I think they were trying to become a startup as well. Sorry, it's getting a little noisy here.
Yeah, I was actually working on that project, on Agreement. That was really nice, nice one. And I was also taking
I
part in
forgot
the
that.
Designathon.
I didn't remember
So
that you were
that's
working on there.
yeah. So that was kind of the for me. This was basically the kickoff to everything that came afterwards. So it was also a great kind of. It really sucked me in after that. So that was kind of the initial spark, or the spark that then lit the fire. So all for it as well.
That's amazing. I think that's a great story that we could even highlight of like why these things are important.
Hey, Marina is here too. Nice to have you.
Awesome. Yeah. So how do we do it? When do we do it? How do we go about it? Who wants to help?
We find a relatively quiet part of the year. Which part of the year is quiet for the group?
I mean,
Which of the months that are the quiet months? Non-traveling for conferences, fairly at home. I don't know, but if you wanna design a thon while you're mid-flying, that's also cool.
when was this one? October.
Would we want to do it kind of together with one of the lightning ones again? In which case we should ask Johns if there are any planned ones.
We're working on the proposal as we speak.
Do you have a rough time idea when during the year it might happen?
Closer to the end, at least the lightning one. We think that people only have so much attention span. So the last one was November, and then December, and it's important that we give it enough time so that people are actually excited to build instead of like getting tired of the same topic too close in timeline.
Makes sense. You mentioned the lightning one. Are there others in the pipeline?
Well, we really like to think about adjacent communities that are friends with Bitcoin, but kind of bring people in. So we did one with AI that Pediment hosted with us. And we did one with Nostr that we did with the Nostr Asia gangs and the conference in Japan. So that was a really interesting addition, that you bring in people that understand, love Bitcoin, but we're bringing in new people. So there's the tournaments that you can see who won, the projects that won, and kind of check those other projects out.
Yeah, that's really cool. I guess.
By the way, we were the first Nostr hackathon.
Yeah,
ever.
I remember that now.
Christoph,
I guess that brings up the question. I'm not sure if I can be heard, but I guess it begs the question for the community then, are we kind of targeting the Designathon towards any particular subsector of the ecosystem, be it Lightning or any of the others, or is it broader than that?
Broader, because I think you might just do some I don't know, maybe a design project is more about, I don't know, street art or something, right? You can just really broaden up where it's technology independent of like some specific tech, because you're not reliant on code libraries or specific features. I think the Designathon has its, and that's why I feel like it's good if it's a little bit of its own thing, closely tied together with the other things, but a little bit in its own. So we can also get designers in there that just really don't want to do anything technical, that want to go into, just want to stay away far from it and do, I don't know, graphic design or posters or fashion, or I don't know what, just anything creative, basically.
I have a question for you guys, because I used to host conferences in my past life, and one of the things that we did was have like anchors, if you will. So people that we really admire that are not necessarily Bitcoiners, that we would want to design in our space, or they would have recognition beyond the Bitcoin space. One of the things that I did was like, I like Street Cobra or Cobra. Have you seen his artwork? Like somebody like him, to figure out a way that he would be like a mentor or a judge, or like somebody from the outside that would be really interesting to include, that are not the same faces that we see every day.
That'd be cool.
That's a good idea.
Very cool. Yeah, 100%. We organized it last year. I think it was it in October? I don't remember. I feel like, yeah, it was in October last year. Yeah. How many? I don't remember how many months of like actual organization there was done behind the scenes. I mean, in terms of organization for the Bitcoin Designathon 2022, I feel like we had, and Christoph, you would remember this better than I do. I feel like we had a 2-month period, possibly, where it was sort of taking up at least 1 to 2 full days of the week leading up to the actual event itself. So that's in terms of sort of time dedication, a full 1 to 2 days.
Yeah, we built this custom website here and everything. And something else that we did that I think was a good idea, we had this initial phase where there was a month or several weeks where it was just about gathering ideas. Anyone could submit an idea, even if they wanted to work on it, or if they wanted someone else, they thought someone that would be really cool to do. And it wasn't possible to sign up for the event. It was just, let's gather good ideas. Let's stay in that space. And then the second one, then there was this period about signing up and forming teams. So people could still come up with their own ideas, but it's like if someone who doesn't have an idea, like there's this rich treasure trove of ideas already that they could say, well, I like working on this one, and somebody else maybe also felt strongly about that one. And then people could kind of form teams. And then by the time the Designathon began, because I think it was just 2 weeks or so, ideally like teams were formed and people were kind of inspired and maybe already had a bit of time to think about things. And then that really helped get everyone kind of in the mood, and then you can kind of do your marketing without just blaring out the same thing, but it's like you're starting conversations beforehand. And the ideas are still up there. Maybe they're still valid. Politicians and Bitcoin. Tarot.
Is there anything about poetry, like Bitcoin and poetry?
Documentary site.
Daniel
3D
did a nice
assets.
wallet for the kids as well. I really enjoyed
I just realized as well, Lightsat, the ultimate winner of that first Legends of Lightning, was also in this as well.
So we brought out some. Oh, nice to hear that, John. Super nice.
Exactly.
And then I also remember we
Yeah.
encouraged the projects to, I don't think I remember correctly, they started their own channel in Discord. It was a temporary channel, and then they worked in public in those channels, and then they had their back and forth, which was also very nice to see. Not everyone was very used to working in public. It's a different concept. But then they worked in public, and then on the day of the event, it was just, getting some people together. As Marina said, it would be nice to have someone who's from the non-Bitcoin space, and then getting on, and then looking at the work and then that kind of thing. So yeah, it was fun. But it was at least, I think, 2 months of organization. but we still have all of those Google documents. You know, maybe it's just like baking the same recipe again. So, yeah.
And I remember the first few days being super stressful because Mo and I, we worked on it for so long, and they were like, we don't see people doing stuff. What's going on? Is anyone doing anything? And then it was fine.
And then we had final call, and then you just see these 20 faces show up, and they're like, this is what we've been working on. Where have you been hiding all this time?
Well, that's why the
Nice.
building in public part is super important. And I'm not sure yet how to make design kind of like a bit more public, even though we have Figma. But I think it's still important for designers to be sharing their progress within this as well. Actually, for this year, Legend of Lightning, I'm considering that we not just have like the demos at the end of the 2 months, but we have like some like you do your normal check-in, but we do like a 5-minute demo or some kind of like demo platform where you're showing off your progress and talking with other people for getting like help from other teams or something. Because there was actually the Lightsats team in Legends of Lightning, first one. They used LNSMS or something like this. They used another hackathon projects thing, you know, and this was also quite good if you give them the platform to kind of like talk to one another. By default, people don't like talking to one another, and especially designers. No chance. You'll see it when I'm done.
That was a super, super fun time. And the website was super fun. It was just, it was a good time. It was a very good, fun time. I look fondly back on the design-a-thon that we had. Good memories. It was a lot of work to organize, but.
Yeah, on our side, the Legends of Lightning took 5 months to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, I participated in those design challenges that Johns and Steven and Connor run sometimes, where you have to like create a dinosaur and bake a cake, or what are the prompts that you guys do? Like, I think it's really fun to bring out the creative part in people, and it kind of loosens people up, get to know each other in teams, and then it creates a whole creative side that maybe we're stuck on this one lane of this is how Bitcoin should be told as a story, that maybe we can break with these fun challenges that they run. I really enjoyed it. I suck at Figma. I failed miserably, but the other teams like Elena and other friends, they rocked at this. They were like impressive. I was like,
amazing.
And again,
Yeah.
it takes you out of that mindset, of the typical, like, what do you present? What do you do for people?
Yeah, just for context, this is a design duel that Stephen Delorme sets up. And we also did one in Prague as well, which
Yeah,
That
that
was
was-
the
was
most fun
quite good
thing
as well.
in Prague. So fun.
Exactly.
Delorme, he has that Figma file with the design duel. I want to look up that file. Otherwise, I'll ping him for the file again. That's so good. So good.
These things can probably be helpful during team building as well, because that's another challenge that people have at these tournaments or hackathons, design-a-thons. You would expect people to like form teams kind of like naturally and communicate and stuff with one another, even if you have a whole directory of the builders and makers and designers there. But it doesn't happen that naturally to be able to reach out to someone. So you kind of have to make the space for them to do that. And maybe something like, you do a design duel kind of thing. So then maybe it's like a co-founder speed dating kind of thing where, let's see, here's a problem. Can you guys hash it out in this time? And maybe they want to continue working together because they just had good fun.
Yeah, the idea of this mural made me also think of something. I was at a conference a long time ago where there was just a blank wall and you just had these markers and everyone was invited to just kind of scribble on it or so. I wonder if you could redo that in some way, which gives everyone kind of a common activity that you can look back at afterwards.
I paid $5,000 for somebody to do that in my conference, by the way. Like because what they do is they they write out everything that is said during the conference, like during the day, and they draw it. So they draw it out for you. It's pretty cool, but it is expensive.
That would be super cool. I remember reading a book where this person in his back garden, every single person who he personally coached, they got to write one sentence, and that just lived on his wall. It was kind of like a mural. I think something like that's super fun to do in the end. It's so very personal as well. Yeah.
Can I ask also, like I was thinking, let's say there's like a very representative book, like the Little Bitcoin book or something, and they would ask people to design around a particular chapter, and then the winners of those chapters or something like that, like based on a book that's already well known. That would be very cool, and it could get a lot of people involved.
Yeah, I think that's all really cool stuff, and that is. I think that might. So I think typical hackathon is like you build software, right? You build an application, and it would be nice to break out of that and open it up a bit further with these types of ideas. Cool. So we're all pumped about it, except for Yashra. She said, "No, sorry, just poking at you." Cool. Then let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, 2 weeks. It's done. Oh my god! I actually thought that was. Oh my god.
So we're gonna sync it with the Lightning, with the one you guys have already have planned. When is the date? I missed that. Sorry.
TBD.
We usually start at the end of October, so it's
Okay.
November and ends like December, like before the holidays, obviously. So December 10 we close, and we announce December 15 the winners usually.
We could pull it back a bit. We could do a survey, like, so let's say maybe, I don't know, because December sometimes is kind of difficult, but yeah, around that last quarter.
Yeah, October, November. There's that pesky daylight savings
Yeah, everything.
that affects us. But all my calendar events were switched and wrong, and it was a mess for a bit.
And also the idea generation part, I think that could be an event of its own as well. You know, like generating an ideas board and stuff like that. Just getting people to think creatively. Lightsat, another example, that was not like the founder's idea. It was actually like something that they saw on Twitter that they did. So it could be cool to get like a broader set of people kind of within the design process. It could stop at either point. It could stop at the idea, just like, hey, I documented something and it's documented. It could stop at the designathon where it's like just sketched out or prototyped, and or it could go all the way to getting developed. But seeing that entire process go through, I think that could be super cool in of itself. But each individual step that people make it to also is beautiful.
There's usually everyone wants to create something new. Is there also an idea that to have one award or one track that's about improving existing things?
Sorry, I'm just taking a note because that's a good point.
That's a very good point. And I also, this is sort of in line with what Christoph was saying as well, is so working on something that already exists, but actually entering deeper into the problem space of that thing that already exists, and then improving it by being knowledgeable in the problem space. So like, getting more research in there in terms of, let's say we're working with, I don't know, Eta Wallet, for example, or I don't know, and then going deeper into the actual problem space to come up with solutions and real, like, things people are actually going to use. I know there's two aspects to it. Like, you can have this fun passion project, and then you just really see a need in the ecosystem for this thing. And then there's another thing where you go really deep into the actual problem space of where the problem's at. So I'd like to see more of that as well, if that's possible.
I have a question. I'm finished, Jones. You go.
No, go on.
I have, Jones and I were discussing, I had a conversation recently with somebody who had no clue about Bitcoin. And suddenly I showed them Fountain and I showed them Wave and I showed them like my Thunder games that I have on my phone. They're like, oh my God, I didn't even know these things existed. And I would totally download this. And then I showed them Damos and, oh, wow, you get Zaps, you get Bitcoin. Like all the things that the world doesn't know that these things exist. But for example, I've been playing the Solitaire of Thunder Games and they changed it up on me and I hate it now. I hate, like, they're trying to make me interactive, and Solitaire is meant to be solitaire. That's my personal opinion. But I have a question, like, would we possibly have a company like Thunder Games who is willing to let people improve a product or open source how they develop something? Is that how you mean by improving something that exists? Or what do you mean by improving something that exists? That's my question.
Yeah, no, exactly what you said. Like we could just go to a wallet or some fun project that's being built, and we can just say to them, they could be really at the startup phase, and then, maybe they want to increase maybe bring on a new feature or something. Then we just go in, hey, let's go speak to the people who are using it. Okay, I'll take Zebedee as an example. Let's say Zebedee decided to join the Design-a-thon, right? Then we're like, hey, how about we go deeper into the problem space of all of your gamers. And then we speak with a few gamers, we understand the problem space, and then they actually end up building out a whole new feature based on the problem space. Just really practical. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you would want to give priority to open source things.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that could be, let's say, there's something, we talked about Sparrow Wallet earlier. You don't like something about how Sparrow works. You could design a new Bitcoin Core website, or just existing stuff that people use that's out there. Someone mentioned this Border Wallets website that could be improved or so. There's just stuff out there that we know that people use that could probably be better in some way. And that's open source, community focused. I think paid companies is fine too, but I think it's like preference would be to open source.
Yeah, likewise. I think also Stephen, just for another anecdote, he and the BitLab folks, I think they won one of the hackathons last year that we had with like a BitDevs Reloaded project. It's like BitDev, like everyone's hosting BitDevs. Let's do a cool template that a bunch of people can use. Yeah, it's like we're just making a template that you could fork and deploy in your own devs, and that's super valuable. It's not necessarily like a product, but it is very useful for the ecosystem. By the set, 21, the group, they have like their templates and stuff like that. You can fork that, and that's super helpful for the communities who might not have like a very technical person or a designer at hand. So those things are kind of cool as well. The TLDR is things that an organization or very low-tech things that resources that someone might need or multiple people could utilize and reuse.
Well, luckily we have 8-10 months to figure all that stuff out. Are there any other topics we want to dig in this conversation, or continue with the Design-a-thon? What do you think?
Maybe chat about the bot thread in the general channel. That was a good one as well. If everyone feels like talking about it.
So for context, I was personally asked to just like, can you enable this bot on the Discord? And I don't even know what it does. And I tried to set it up, and I found it really confusing. And I thought, well, we have this Zebedee Discord bot already, and no one seems to use it. Or so and then I was asked again personally, like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, that should not be my decision here. So I don't want to decide it. But let me pull up this link here. So here in Primal, so what can you do? I guess you zap the server? I don't know, do you zap individual people or do you zap the whole server?
Probably individuals.
Yeah. So Bob here, who posted this, also sent me a private message with some stuff. But I don't know. Generally, I mean, it's zapping, lightning, tipping in Discord. Yay!
It just hasn't caught on in Bitcoin design. I see you try to do it every now and then and fails with like somebody doesn't have a Lightning address or something connected with the ZBD one.
Yeah, exactly. No one has it set up, so no one can receive. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's great to always support projects. The enthusiasm is just amazing here.
Yeah, true. I guess it doesn't need to be a monopoly or something. Monopoly.
I don't know. Any thoughts?
I already commented in the Discord channel.
What did you?
I just, you know, I know a while back in the community there was another bot that we also installed, and then we also went through the whole process of asking everyone. I haven't really seen that bot being actively used. Maybe we're going through the what do you call it? What do you call that?
Adoption curve?
The curve, the adoption curve, within the adoption curve. And then I was like, okay, like, do we need another bot? And I feel like if we get another bot, then in like 2 years from now, we'll have like 8 bots in the community, and then we'll just be botting it all over the place. So,
well, I think it's just natural as our new overlords are going to be sentient AI beings from OpenAI and Midjourney. So I think we should really embrace our new overlords as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe the problem is that just enabling it doesn't do anything. No one knows about it. Maybe we can expect from the projects themselves that if they want this, that they have to kind of commit to doing a call about it, helping onboard people, promoting it. I don't know, just helping, like owning that this thing actually gets adopted and used, and not just kind of dump it into as many servers as they can, which I don't think that's what they're doing, but you know.
I like that suggestion very much.
Yeah.
If you would like it in the community, then you can take care of adoption, and by taking care of adoption, they will understand the product that they're building as well. You know, so it's only better for them.
Okay, ask them to.
By the way, for those of you who are rejecting bots and AI, when they do become sentient and they look back at these messages and recordings and stuff, then you're gonna be the first to go. Just to say, I'm gonna be safe because
you are AI.
I accepted it already.
We'll find out. I resist.
I'm looking for AI note-taking tool.
Nostro network. Okay.
Everyone knows the good ones.
Any other topics you'd like to dig in? Someone mentioned Accessibility Day. I think Yashash mentioned conference meetups and retreats. Accessibility Day?
I have a question. Like, I would like to design for problems in perception, for example. right? Like a lot of people don't understand the difference that Bitcoin and other coins have, which is, for example, that Bitcoiners really believe in self-custody. So what are the products and projects and things that are related to self-custody, and how could we design for people to understand the value of self-custody, or design for self-custody, or design for freedom tools? Like we want to do something that is related to human rights activists or related to artists, like problems to solve. That whole milkshake conversation of the Harvard guy, like what are the problems we're trying to solve versus design a new wallet, because there's 50,000 wallets. So that I think we have to think higher up of like what are the challenges we see in the design and in the perception, and then how could potentially people approach their projects based on this.
Oh, you're talking about on the cultural layer more.
It's just like, I think either you're a Bitcoiner and you know everything, or you're completely out. So part of the design goal is that we're bringing people in. And so that's why I'm asking like higher level questions. Like if you believe that you are a libertarian, what are the tools that you would design with those values in mind? Or if you believe that, I don't know, like self-custody, what are the tools that we should be designing for self-custody, like this Monster app that I shared, right? Francisco is from Venezuela. He's now in Argentina. He truly believes you should be able to buy Bitcoin without KYC anywhere, easily, with trust, not having to trust anybody. It's open source, right? So that the whole concept of open source, and you don't have to, like, everybody confounds the FTX problems with Bitcoin, and they're not related, right? So how are we changing perception with design, with products, or with projects that are solving a problem for people?
I think that falls into marketing, doesn't it? It's like spreading the word wider, because it's like some narrative that's getting like spoken about,
Yeah.
and repeated. And then like, what's the counter? Like in those discussions, is there a counter argument? One of the places in which we can spread, these counter arguments, perhaps, is at conferences.
Yes, of course we can.
I mean, to be honest, I think I mentioned this to you, John. I feel like we're in a world of pain over the next 2 years in that specific regard, because all these terms are just being so softened and messed with right now. You have all these layer 2s coming up, and then you have like all these projects that are like, oh, it's like built on Bitcoin, but there are all these sneaky mechanisms with which self-custody and all this stuff is undermined and security is undermined. So I think it's going to be a huge battle.
Well, that's where, the Bitcoin design crew shows up at conferences. Again, I'm making the segue. Shows up at conferences and talks about that side of like how to design with those principles in mind, like BTC Prague, BTC Atlantis, but maybe some non-BTC events.
I'm just gonna throw this out there too, since we're adding wishes. Could we organize a Bitcoin private jet? Because there are approximately 40 conferences this year. I'd love to go to all of the conferences, but I also need to spend time with my kids and be a parent. Get that to stop in Amsterdam here, because we've got a very good airport. There's plenty of space. Stop that over here. Get me on there. I'm gonna be at the conference. But I will be a mother as well.
Yashraj has the solution there.
Yashraj is arranging things. Okay, Yashraj, we leave that up to you.
I mean, something practical that has come up a few years ago that I still feel like would be kind of helpful, but I feel like a lot of people have done too, is Bitcoin user guide, where it says, I'm this type of person, here's how you do it. And then at the bottom says, here's what you not do. If you do this, you run the risk of that. If you do that, you run the risk of this. And it could be, I am an activist in Russia. I am a small business. I am a father of 3 and I want my kids to, just different scenarios. And then it's just like very practical. And here are all the risks and things that you can do those, sure, but just understand that this is what you're doing. And then you can go practically explain. I don't know, as if you get into this culture wars in crypto, it's like, I don't know, there's nothing to win there.
Isn't that what like the oh fuck, what's the project with the orange coin TikTok?
Here comes Bitcoin.
It's not my first Bitcoin, was it?
No, Spiral.
Yeah, I am Bitcoin. What's the name again?
Here comes Bitcoin.
Here comes Bitcoin. Here comes Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about providing a different framing. Wow, more gifts here. PNGs, I haven't even seen those.
So maybe we show up at conferences with Christoph dressed as this Bitcoin character, and I'm pretty sure that's going to change.
Yeah, that reminds me. I wanted to get in touch with Haley and the BTC Prague guys to see if we could bring them to Prague this year.
I didn't say I was going to be at the same conference with Christoph dressed like that.
We'll get you one suit as well, John. 2 suits.
I don't know where this topic, but I know there is a lot of philosophy around Bitcoin. A lot of academic philosophers. They kind of go outside the boundaries of political, even cultural a lot. Trying to wrap it in a new way to look at it. I think there's like a core group of them. I wonder if you could combine that with some kind of design practice.
Marina, have you heard of Me Bitcoin Primer? They're doing quite a bit with education. I'm in contact with someone there. It's called, let me just see, it's Me. It's
Me Primero Bitcoin.
My Bitcoin Primer. It's open source. Yeah, there we go.
Wait, Mi Primer Bitcoin is an organization, right? That's different. Have a primer, you mean? There's like a document?
Yeah, so they have, there is the website, myprimer.io. They do a lot of education, and they're sponsored by.
Yeah, they do it with very young people, to be clear, just so you're aware of their audience.
Okay.
Is that
so like school children? It's in El Salvador.
Okay.
Exactly.
By the way, guys, we have a new node in El Salvador up and running. Toragos does, just so you know. We're announcing it very soon. But yeah, Mi Primer Bitcoin is very oriented to like high school and under kids.
Okay.
Like how to open a wallet, what to do, like what does it mean, like the very like straight up basics. It's not technical, which is still very cool. It's very important, and I think the model is being shared of how to do that around the world. It's well thought out from what I understand, but it is more like basics.
More the basics, yeah. Well, someone has reached out to me I met someone from there, and they might want some help from the ecosystem with helping to design some stuff. I don't know what they want yet or what they need help with, but once I'm in contact with the person, I'll try to bring them into the community and see what they need help with. But apparently their educational material has been translated into many different languages, and everything's open source, everything's on GitHub. So yeah, we'll see. I just met them at an event.
Yeah, they've been active for a while and they're very well known. They're strong in the area. It's run by an American that's based in El Salvador.
I met him. Yeah.
So we have about 5 minutes left. What else would you like to get into? I mean, I guess Accessibility Day is coming up in May 16, I think. So that's 4.5 months away. I think that would be good last year I was kind of surprised. We had something from Wallet of Satoshi join one of the workshops around accessibility. We got some pretty good results, and even did a bunch of testing. We filed a whole bunch of issues on different wallets that are still being worked on. Some not. Some I really don't know. Phoenix apparently made a whole bunch of updates. Blue Wallet, there's some stuff being worked on. Wallet of Satoshi, I haven't checked in, haven't heard from them yet. They're a little bit more quiet. But I feel like that'd be just a fairly low-key one also to work on, to organize something. That'd be nice. And that's mostly about improving existing stuff. Testing, fixing. And maybe with the foundation this time, we could actually put out like 20 bounties for some smaller amounts or so to actually fix stuff, to provide an extra incentive or so. I know accessibility is
I
the
want an
most
app
awesome
that tracks
topic.
your period and pays you Bitcoin. How's that? We could do a female women health day.
Bitflow.
Bitflow. There we go. We got a name. But yeah, for Women's Month, we could do something kind of cool like that.
Totally, yeah. That's a good idea to venture out in some of these other days and events and do something there. But I guess that's something you'd have to organize. You and Mo, I guess.
What are we organizing? What did I just-
Women's
Wouldn't that
Day
be
event.
cool, Mo?
It's March.
Like that in the pipeline. We just need to actually get it out there.
International Women's Day is March 8th.
Actually, this came out of the research that I did before, because there was this woman that would teach women how to download a wallet and how to buy Bitcoin. And then the women would leave the meeting and be like, okay, I'm going to give this app to my husband. And the woman goes, no, tell him it's an app to track your period. Why would you tell him you have this? Don't tell him. So that's why it made me laugh. It was an actual story that came about one of the interviews I did.
Wow.
Just putting it out there. Interesting gamification for such kind of apps. Integrate Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Or like, the privacy mode that you hide your balance, but then it like changes like the whole theme of the app and it becomes something else. It's like, oh no, that's not a wallet.
Okay, I guess it's ideal if the ladies lead this event.
Agreed.
I love it how I just get volunteered in.
You don't have to. It is an idea. You don't have to act on anyone's ideas. The world is your oyster. Choose your destiny.
Okay, I'll have a look at the document.
There's this app that I really enjoyed the thought because it was related to neuroscience, and it was called Reframe. Have you ever heard of it? It's about not drinking, but it's related to how your brain understands alcohol and how you sleep and tracking all these things. But it was really well done. I love neuroscience, so I download everything related to neuroscience. And it was, imagine, let's say that you have a streak and you do things that are really good. Like, how do we get apps like Reframe or apps that are tracking your period to input Bitcoin or to add, like, because that's the copycats concept, right? Apps that are already working, can we get them to reward people with Bitcoin? Could we create an app that is similar but uses apps? Things that already exist, things that are really smart. Redesigning something like that.
John, this is not polite what you were doing.
He's laughing at me. What? I didn't even see.
Would you want Zaps in that app that for tracking?
Well, Duolingo, tracking that you don't drink, right? The whole point is that you have streaks, so therefore you log in, things like that. So you get.
Yeah. The association with Zaps and neuroscience, I think it's been explored before.
Has it? It hasn't. What are you talking about?
Electroshock therapy.
No, and it would be about reading, right? Like you read the different thing. I mean, if you download the app, it's pretty impressive. It's really well done. I thought it was excellent.
This
The
was such a
point
fun
is, if you
series.
do the homework, if you do the reading, like Duolingo, you get zapped. Not like the streak. Maybe that's not proper.
So is this something that you're just generally interested in, or in relation to a Women's Day, or maybe a hackathon idea or so?
Well, it could be a health-related hackathon design, right? Like it could be a health design hackathon Bitcoin, and it could include things like Reframe, include things like the tracking your period, include things that are, I don't know, you exercised every day or you did your step. There are already that do the steps, right? Like they count your steps. So that could be a mentor or an advisor for the projects.
Yeah.
But going out of the basic wallet, which I think we've overkilled. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's interesting. Remember Machankura? When they did the demo a long time ago? It's so simple. Like it is basically a wallet, but it's just using this really low-end available tech, highly available, locally accessible. And that seems to be really struck a nerve or so. It's still a wallet, right? But it's just in a very different way than we. I don't know.
What's the name of it?
Machankura.
Machankura. From South Africa.
Yeah. It is a custodial one as well, though, right?
He's building a non-custodial version. It's in the works.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, we're at the hour here. So we, well, thank you for this call, first of all. Good topics. I'm really excited that everyone's pumped about the Designathon. And so do you like this format of having this community call to practically discuss and plan and organize and brainstorm these things? Is that good?
Yeah.
We're trying not to be too enthusiastic.
You cannot be not enthusiastic enough. Did I say that correctly?
This is
Bring
my
the
first
energy.
one, so I still cannot opine.
How do you think it went, Christoph?
Hold on, I'm trying to find a good GIF.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think it's definitely better use of time than a good gift game. Although you're away from Yashar's league. Well, I think it's definitely better use of time, this call, than, for example, the previous ones where, we went through the newsletter content, which is great content, but you can read it on your own time. So it's great to kind of work together to try and move some things forward and create something or make something happen. Like it.
Well, I'd be really excited to meet up with some of you guys and gals at conferences, have just organize some fun events, have a good time. Because as Mo said, you look fondly back on some of these events. So let's make some more of those happen.
Do you guys ever go to conferences in the US, or is it mainly European conferences?
I haven't been to one in the US yet.
Neither. No?
I'm based in New York.
I mean, we do have
I'm still waiting for jobs.
We do have some
in
members
November.
in the US as well, although we haven't seen so many of them for a while. But there's a bunch over there too.
HabConf is a good one in Atlanta to go to. It happens in the beginning of the fall. And there's some usually Bitcoin design thing there as well.
And I think Nashville does events very often, and their house is like very design oriented, right? It used to be a music hall, so it's really cool. So Nashville might be cool. In New York, we're happy to host whatever you want.
Yeah, it's a good discussion. I'd love to also meet. I'm definitely going to some conferences. Love to meet up there, have some design dinners or something like that. Be cool. But yeah, should we
Yeah.
wrap it up? I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.